James Gunn recently said in an interview that he didn't want David Corenswet having fake muscles the way that some other superheroes have. Now, he's obviously referring to Henry Cavill. We've all seen the shade. Why does he have a muscle suit? Only fake Superman needs a muscle suit. But the reason that he had a muscle suit is actually really simple, and I'm going to go into that today. And it's probably not what you think. So, it's actually all perspective of what you can see and the type of material that they use. So this is coming from a cosplayer's perspective here. So the reason that Henry Cavill had that muscle suit really goes back to the days of Christopher Reeve, 1978. So let's look at that suit, right? So obviously no muscle suit was used. It was just Christopher Reeve in his full glory in stretch lycra, whether it was four-way stretch or two-way stretch is up for debate. Well, I don't think it's really up for debate. Jim Bowers from Cape Wonder could probably tell you. I think it's somewhere in between. I don't know. Three-way stretch? I don't think that exists. Anyway, obviously that sat on him in a very specific way. So I'm going to demonstrate what exactly happens when you move from something like stretch lycra to something like what Henry Cavill wore. Now, it's a really, really simple thing. So here we go. My Superman moment. There it is. So this is obviously not a Christopher Reeve suit. It's a bit of a replica of the Lois and Clark sort of style suit. It's got a weird vinyl emblem, but it's fine. But, so if I'm just here, you can sort of see there is some sort of, you can see what's going on in my body. If I puff out my chest, you can probably see my ribs. If I do certain kinds of movements, you can probably see my abs poking through. It's not the greatest light in the world, but you kind of get the idea. There's a little bit of leanness in there. You can see that it does sort of highlight things, and you can see certain aspects of the movement. If I jut out like this, you can probably see what is going on there, right? So this is obviously not the most flattering version of the suit that I've ever owned, but you get the idea. So the moment that you add something a little bit heavier and has a little bit of pattern to it, that once sort of lean physique goes away. Obviously not a Superman suit, but we can see that there's things going on there. It's the same body, right? Obviously not a Superman suit, but you get the idea, right? So essentially that's what happened. I'm going to bring this back. That's what happened. So you have a suit like Henry Cavill's, full of pattern, full of textures, much heavier sort of fabric. You can't put a suit on like that and expect to see a physique. It's just not going to happen. Like I'm in the same physique. Sure, it's a little bit looser fitting, but even if I pull it tight, you still can't really make much out because the pattern of it and the density of it doesn't really allow that. So the reason that Henry Cavill had a muscle suit, it wasn't to pad him up. I mean, the guy was jacked. Like, we've all seen the shots of him shirtless. Of course, leading up to those scenes, there were sort of dietary things he would have done, water retention, water depletion. But, like, he was still a big guy. He had huge shoulders, huge chest. He was not in need of a muscle suit by any sense of it. But they added it in there not to add to him, but to basically show off what he had. So I would imagine that those muscles were actually formed to what he already had. They were basically replicas of what he already had so that you could see it in the suit. That's all. It wasn't padding him up to make him look fake big. He was already huge. So that's why they do that. That's why they didn't need to do it in the Christopher Reeve movies, because he had that thinner material that was much more stretchy. No texture, just very plain. Which is why, so essentially with the David Corenswet suit, that's why I think that I have a big problem with it. Not a big problem with it, but that's why I just haven't really come around to it yet, because there is something missing, and it isn't form-fitting, and it does have that texture and that pattern, and it just doesn't look great. In some shots it does, but I think there are other shots where it's just like, it's really interesting. But the fact is, to say that we don't want our Superman to have fake muscles, like, we've got to understand why the fake muscles were put in, and it isn't to sort of make the physique better. It's actually to make the suit better. Because if you put that Man of Steel suit on without a muscle suit, and I've done that before. I have done that before because I do have my Man of Steel suit, or I have the Napier suit that I used to have. Oh, well, my Man of Steel suit is a Napier suit. But if you do that and you put it on without a muscle suit, it does. It just looks flat. There's no anything to it. It just doesn't look right. It just looks like it's sitting on you. And even if it's tight, because of the textures, it isn't flattering. It's blocky. It's just blocky. So they had to put that in to make sure that things were looking good. Like, his shoulders are his shoulders. Like, the muscles that you see there wouldn't have been padded. They were probably as thin could be, just to give the suit shape. So from a cosplayer, that's why they put muscles into suits like that. From a cosplayer, that's why they don't put muscles into suits that aren't textured. Brandon Routh, even in Superman Returns, there was a tiny muscle suit in there. Not to make him bigger, obviously, because he was a very lean Superman, but to give that specific suit, which was made of millie skin, which has a history of stretching and not holding its shape, that gave that suit the best possible way. So there were actually little latex muscles that were worked into Brandon Routh's suit. Obviously, in the Kingdom Come version, there's definitely something going on in there. Dean Cain, not so much. Christopher Reeve, obviously not so much. But it's a lot more common than you think. Obviously, Tyler Hoechlin had the muscle suit, but none of those actors really needed it. Like, I think in the first season of Superman and Lois with Tyler Hoechlin, you could see dude's ripped and jacked. He doesn't need a muscle suit. Like, he just doesn't. But that is for the suits itself. It's not necessarily for the actors. Sometimes, yes. Like, look at Shazam. I mean, that was a muscle suit. That was crazy. That's not accentuating what he has. I mean, I think Zachary Levi did get build a little bit muscle for the role, but he didn't like build that much muscle for the role. So that suit was definitely just, obviously, it was comedic. It was supposed to be outlandish. You got suits like the Bat suit, of course, which have a little bit of muscles worked into it. Although Ben Affleck got huge for Batman v Superman. But yeah, there are definitely certain suits where just that needs to be worked in. Not anything to do with the physique, but for the suit itself. So next time you're thinking, Henry Cavill and his fake muscles, it's not. Henry Cavill didn't have fake muscles. He's got the real muscles. It's the suit that needs to play the game, not so much Henry Cavill. So anyway, that's just a little bit of a cosplayer's perspective and a bit of a review of what my thoughts are on what I think could have been with the David Corenswet suit. I think I would have liked to have seen something in there that holds the shape a bit more. I do overall like the design of the suit. I think I'm like 90% there, but because it's not as form-fitting, or because it doesn't have anything holding the shape of it, I think it's a bit of a letdown. Although in some shots it does look really good. So that's that. That's all I wanted to come on and talk about that, because there has been a lot of stuff going around about the muscle suit and James Gunn's recent comments. So look, if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notifications bell, ding, ding, share it with your friends. Really, really important. Do all the things. Comment, all that good stuff. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this. Comment down below. Catch me at Superfit Cosplay on Instagram. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.